are dangers ahead. There are three specific dangers that you, the young people of this country, you must understand, you must face, and you must see that these dangers are warded off. First, not enough people are on the economic bandwagon of this country. We are happy with the 8-9% growth rate in the country. But about 70% of the people do not have much of a chance because their future is determined in a substantial measure by birth at birth. The family into which they are born, the community into which they are born, and the economic status of that family, that determines in 70 to 80% of the cases the future. That was the case earlier too, but the difference today is now everybody sees what is possible because we have now today in this country more television sets than toilets. Almost everybody has access to television. We all see what's possible, what Mumbaikars are enjoying, what somebody else is doing, what the Juhu crowd is doing. We all know now what's happening. Therefore, we're asking questions, what about me? Why am I not on the bandwagon? You cannot sustain peace, nor can you sustain prosperity if this continues. Because there's a disjunction between the society and economy on the one hand, which is willing to forge ahead, and the politics on the other hand, which is actually dragging it back. Either economy must slide down, slow down, or politics must accelerate and change pace and change course, or the axle will break and the society will be in serious peril. It's for us, if we are smart people, to see that politics is transformed to facilitate economic growth that is inclusive. It cannot be the growth for some people, for the beautiful people. Violence is therefore a consequence, a second danger. Naxalism that you see today is actually, to me, a source of surprise, not because it is there, but because so little is there. Considering the injustice, considering the fact that millions have no chance at birth, that Indian society has so much strength and resilience, and so many people are able to take their life's condition with equanimity, is to me a source of miracle. It's amazing. But this will not last. People are going to fight. There's going to be violence. We'll all pay a price. For our sake, for our children's sake, we have to see that there is a harmonious reconciliation without need for violence. And finally, without that kind of ideological violence, simple crime is taking over because crime investigation has collapsed. Politics, crime, and criminal, and the policemen, they all became fused completely, and Mumbai is a good example, as good an example as any other. It's very hard to say who is the criminal, who is the person who is pursuing the crime and criminals. Because our criminal justice system, our policing, and the whole system of rule of law, they are on the verge of breakdown. If these are not addressed, with increasing urbanization, even the minimum security that we seek for our children in our cities, in our slums, and elsewhere, even that security will be denied. It will be a dog-eat-dog world. You haven't seen anything yet. What you're seeing today in Mumbai or elsewhere is nothing compared to what could happen if we simply fail to do what is necessary in the next few years. That's the reason why you have to look at new politics, a new political culture. You have to be engaged in politics, not in the existing parties as they are, because the mainstream parties in this country, they have lost hope in themselves. They are simply going through the motions. It's all about investing money, getting into power, recovering multiples, and then going on. That's the reason why political recruitment has stopped. That's the reason why politics has become personal fiefdom. That's the reason why parties have become private properties. That's the reason why, just as you transfer your shares and your property, you're transferring political office. That's the answer they dared not give. That's the reason why all the 10 young politicians of India in parliament, they're all sons and daughters of somebody or the other. Not one of them is somebody like you and I who had gone there. You must reclaim this lost republic, because this republic has been stolen from us. It's our republic. They're making it impossible for us because the choices are between Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Create new choices. Create new politics. Engage in politics. What am I saying? Am I saying you should form a party instantly? Surely one day you will. You must. But you don't have to wait for that. Engage today. Look at your Mumbai, India's great and liberal city, the financial capital of this country. One of the great metropolis of the world. At one level, it's the pride of India. At another level, it's the scourge of India. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace that a July 26th could happen in this city. It's a disgrace that almost all of you grew up without even knowing that there's a Meitei River in this city. It's a shame that even after knowing that, the Meitei continues to be what it was before the flood, a cesspool. It's a disgrace that you know the name of, let's say, Bloomberg, the mayor of New York, Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, or Ken Livingstone, the mayor of London, or Obrador, the mayor of Mexico, who almost became a president, he lost by a whisker. But probably many of you don't even know the mayor's name in the city. How many know? Some I'm sure do know, but most would not. Almost no Indian outside Mumbai knows at all. What a shame. How can you breed leadership? How can you sustain democracy? If a city with 18 million people cannot govern itself, if you don't have a symbol of your city to lead your city into the future, if Mumbaikas are to be governed by somebody else in Delhi or in the Mantralaya here, how can you have democracy? Even 80 years ago, 1924, let me conclude with this story, Mr. Chairman. 1924, the Congress Party, a wing of Congress Party, wanted to go into electoral politics. They called themselves Swarajya Party. Desabandhu Chittaranjan Das, a great son of India, became the mayor of Calcutta in that election. He then went to the then governor of Bengal province. After the preliminaries, he said, look, the people elected me as the mayor, and this is about this city's future, and I want to be able to choose my own commissioner. And then the governor said, of course, by all means, Mr. Das. He was a little amused at this request because Calcutta was then the premier city of India, the former imperial capital. He said, all right, you can have him. You can choose any ICS officer, and I'll give him, provided he's available. He said, why should I get your ICS officers? I will pick up my own young men and women, the brightest Indians. I don't require anybody from government. I want them to be the people who will serve this city and this community. Because Das had great stature, the governor was quite amused and also embarrassed. He said, all right, go ahead, hoping that he would not be able to pick up and he would fail anyway. Then Das looked around and picked up a 27-year-old youngster in 1924. This youngster did an outstanding job for the next 1 year. He earned rave reviews from the British government, the officials, the public, the municipal council. Then he was jailed, not because he took bribes, but because he participated in the freedom struggle. He was put in Alipore jail of Calcutta. And then again, Das went to the governor and said, look, you gave me a commissioner of my choice. He did an outstanding job. He was jailed for an extraneous reason, which is wrong in itself, but that's a different battle. I don't want to fight with you on that issue. I don't care what happens. In or out of jail, I want this gentleman to be the commissioner of the city. The British government gave an extraordinary order. They said, this young man in jail will continue to be the commissioner. The files for the city will be circulated to him. His order shall be implemented. The order is still there in the archives. That practice continued until the young man was shifted to the Mandalay jail. That young man later on went on to become the mayor of Calcutta city itself by 1930. By 1939-40, he became the president of the Congress Party in the country. He was re-elected in the next year against the wishes of Mahatma Gandhi. He left the country and founded the Azad Hind Fauj. He was Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. That is the local government tradition and democratic tradition 80 years ago, 82 years ago in our country during colonial rule. Can't we get at least that back? What the British permitted in India, can the independent Indian governments with our own constitution written by ourselves, for ourselves, can we not bring that back? Cannot the communities govern? Can we not have pride in our cities? And that's why a Vote Mumbai campaign is launched. Not to merely express angst, but to find answers to the city's problems. To serve as an example to the rest of the country, to the growing metropolis and megalopolis and towns and cities of India everywhere. Mumbai should be an example, not New York or London, not Shanghai. Mumbai should be an example because Mumbai has always been the leader in the freedom struggle. It has been the leader, Western India has been the leader in the civil society activism, in citizenship. It's the most liberal city, it's the most glorious city. Do we destroy it because now we're at the crossroads, or do we really find answers? The challenge is